I'd like to call to order the Finance Committee meeting for May 13th at 5:45. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Attendance roll call.
Alderperson Hamel,
Here.
Wolf,
Here.
and Bryce.
Here.
We have a quorum present.
Thank you. Public meeting notice?
This meeting was noticed in accordance with the open meeting law on Friday, May 9th. Then it was amended and posted later on Friday, May 9th, 2025, and then amended and posted Monday, May 12th, 2025.
Thank you. Approval of the minutes from the Finance Committee meeting from April 8th.
Move to approve. Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. New business, discussion regarding library parking lot reconstruction funding. So I think it was last meeting, Scott brought forward the bids that we had for the road program and the library parking lot, which we're including with the road program to save money on it this year. We're about $10,000 short of being able to do. Right now, we can do one of the three phases of the library parking lot. We're about $10,000 short to be able to do a second one. Talking to Jenny, we do have $10,000 left in capital from what we appropriated for capital from other projects. My recommendation is to get that second section done. It's going to be cheaper to do the two of them together instead of putting it off till later, but I figured I'd bring it back to you guys and decide what you guys want to do with that.
No, I think that's a good idea. I kind of recommended that last time because I mentioned that we saved $50,000 on a lawnmower, so we have money somewhere that we put back into the roads. The two phases are not, the third phase, I should say, is the entrance area, right?
So
we're going to do the parking lot.
The phase that we're going to do is when you pull in off of Janesville Road, that parking lot has two halves to it. So that parking lot that would be to the west, that half is phase one. Phase two would be from that part rolling all the way back towards whatever, is that Parkland? That'd be phase two, which those are the two phases we're talking about doing. Then phase three would be the east side of the parking lot. So the phase one and two are the ones that are the most need of doing it. And then the third phase would be that east side of the parking lot, which we would do in a subsequent year.
But we were talking about, I think when we did the budget, there was a change at the entrance. Is that not included in this?
We would include doing what we talked about at budget on that for that phase one.
Oh, in phase one?
Phase one was that part, I believe. And I can clarify, Scott's not here. Yes, Brittany's shaking her head, yes. So that change in the entrance would happen. That
would happen, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, the only reason I bring that up is I have questions about, I suppose I had it backwards. Then the cost of changing that entrance, is that worth it versus doing the other half of the parking lot?
You mean the third part?
Yeah. I mean, we're going to
So our plan this year was to do, and if you want to come up and, I believe the plan was in phase one was to do the entrance and that first part. That was phase one.
You have to turn it on probably, Brittany. Yep.
Hello, everyone. Yep. So it's actually, not to be really specific, but phase two and phase three.
Oh, the way you're numbering them are different than the way I'm describing it. But the way I'm describing it is correct. We were going to do phase.
Correct. So phase two is the part off of Janesville Road that it would be widened. So not by a lot. So it's not like that part of it is a huge amount of money, but that part will allow more space for people to enter and exit, which will make people more comfortable. So that phase two will encompass that, and then that west side of the lot, and then the phase three, which we're trying to finish off, is the Parkland entrance and winding along. So
okay, yeah, I was just questioning if we're going to try to save money on it and get the phases done, if we really needed to do the entrance, but it's all bid out already, and
Yeah,
And
and
pretty much ready to go versus
Yes.
pending approval?
That
Correct.
entrance is pretty narrow, correct?
the entrance is narrow. It has a bit of a bounce to it, so we're trying to smooth it out. People, if you watch them sort of go fast because they're trying to get across, you can see it's not great for their cars. But the entrance itself, it's not widening so much that if we didn't do it, it would allow us to then cover phase one, that other side. We
So
wouldn't be able
we're
to.
doing this because people are speeding to get to the library?
Yes, because that's how great we are. Yes, thank you. On the record.
Okay, as long as it's clarified, okay, good.
So if you guys are amenable to, if somebody could make a motion to, to use the extra money from capital to do phases.
I'll
two.
make that motion.
I'll second it.
Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is approved. Thank you. Recommend approval of an intermunicipal agreement between the City of Muskego and Waukesha County regarding public safety answering point backup, essentially PSAP. A motion?
Motion approved.
Second.
So what this is, and Barb can come up here and explain a little more, but we have our internal dispatch, and years ago we had, our backup was New Berlin, and we were New Berlin's backup. New Berlin, probably in the last 5 years, 5 to 10 years, somewhere, they switched over to the county to do consolidated dispatch, so they were saving money by not doing it in-house. We never formalized an agreement with anyone to have a backup. And since I've been in office, we've been working at our whole emergency government plan, I guess, per se. One of the things that Barb has picked up as part of that is to formalize an agreement with Waukesha County, to have a formal agreement with them to be our backup if something were to happen to our system here. An example, Milwaukee County had a fire in their dispatch a couple of years ago, so Waukesha County acted as their backup during that time. It could be anything from something as grave as a fire to a digger cutting through the main line and we losing phones.
Is there an extra cost or savings for us? Okay.
You gotta turn your mic on, I think. Oh,
Better? There we go. There's no cost, is it too loud? There's no cost associated with this. In the agreement, there is a statement that says, on number 6, it says there'll be no charge for the first 48 hours of co-location. When I talked to the county, Mrs. Goodchild is on vacation until the 15th of May. But I did talk to her second in command, and as Mayor said, that when Milwaukee County had a fire in their dispatch center, they did go over to Waukesha County. They stayed there for 9 months. They never got billed. It's just kind of a placeholder in there in the event that anybody would need it. It's not an expectation by any means, because we're all in this together. So we help each other out.
Thoughts, comments? You okay with this? Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Recommend approval of a resolution approving the creation of a deputy treasurer's position in the Finance and Administration Department for the City of Muskego.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Kate, you want to come up and give your presentation on this? Why don't we just leave that on?
leave it on, right?
Yeah.
It's Barb's fault.
Okay, there we go. All right, so our proposal here is to reclassify a vacant assistant deputy clerk treasurer position. It's been vacant since November 2024, and elevate it to a new position, which would be a deputy treasurer. So the deputy treasurer would work under the general direction of the finance director and be responsible for the collection of taxes, receipt processing and reconciliation of all forms of payment and biweekly payroll. So I guess the ideal candidate would have a bachelor's degree in finance and accounting or a related field and have about 2 years of municipal experience. We will also not be filling the associate finance director position at this time. The pay grade recommendation is a 56, which is about 68,844 to 89,474. It's a grade 56. So basically with that and with the vacant positions, we will be saving about $57,000 for 2025. And if this is approved, there will be 2 assistant deputy clerk treasurers and the deputy treasurer reporting to the finance director.
Questions? Alderman Wolf.
Just so we have an idea for the future, we're going to be replacing a lower paid position, I guess, if you want to just talk in dollars. And we're going to create a new one that's kind of a hybrid between the two of a higher paid one. What is the expected life of this position before we need to add somebody else in? And would that, I mean, if we promote this person, we bring somebody, I mean, this could turn out to, in the long run, cost us money as well. So if we have an idea how long this position would last?
My expectation is this is permanent, so.
Yeah, but I mean, before we think we'd have to hire somebody, I mean, you think we get 5 years out of this?
Jenny could probably comment on this better, but our plan on this would be to combine those 2 positions into one, leave that permanently. With today's technology and different things that we're doing, we can be more efficient in that office, and that's my hope is in the long run, but Jenny can speak to that more.
So 5 years ago, the finance department had 8 staff, and we've reduced it down to 5, I believe, with this creation. So I'm not saying that we would never need it, but
Right.
I don't anticipate that in any time soon.
I just want to make sure that there's a payback, at least a 5-year payback before we'd have to add somebody in, because then we'd be creating, it'd be going the other way real fast.
I would think if we're going to add anyone in the future, it's not going to be a position higher than the one we're creating. It's going to be one on the lower end.
I agree.
So if that being the case, if you look at where we are now with an associate finance director at, say, level X, and this new position is X -1, let's just say, the new person wouldn't come in costing more than what the old associate finance director, so it would still be a savings to where we are today.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's kind of my concern with that as well, is that we eliminate this position 1 or 2 years, we come back looking to fill it again, and then we're worse off and increase our costs on that.
Yeah, I think either way you're saving money, because right now, for one, they're down 2 people. They need somebody right now because they are short-staffed. If you add even if 2 years from now you had to add somebody and you got back up to the same payroll cost you are now, you had those 2 years of savings.
And it would be, if we had to add someone, I would say it'd be more of a customer service person than anything. I don't see any reason why myself and the new deputy treasurer can't handle everything that Sharon and myself did.
All right.
Okay.
Any other questions? Anyone else? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Recommend approval of purchase for Velocity Pumper Tanker, Test Corners Fire Department.
Motion approved.
Second.
All right, this is in front of you. So through the capital budget, we had approved this back in October. With our contract with them, we're not really looking for approval on this because per our contract with Test Corners, the approval actually is from them with the capital budget. What we are looking at doing is, I'm looking at, for one, answering any questions you may have on this, but also looking for approval of trying to stay as close to the budget of $950,000 as possible, because costs had gone up on this substantially since what the original estimate was. And if we prepay for this, and we've done this with fire trucks in the past, is my understanding, there's a significant, not only savings by prepaying for it, but the real concern I guess I have is because the build time on these trucks are so long. The contracts state that if their costs go up on this over that period, that they can then raise the price after we have the order in. But if you prepay for it, everything's locked. And that's what we're looking for tonight. Any specific questions?
I have a couple questions.
Sure.
Because I'm new, so I'm sorry.
No, ask away.
And I don't know if I should ask you or the guys.
Well, we have three qualified individuals here that maybe answer anything about the truck itself.
Yeah, and I told them too, I tried to find the answers, but I couldn't at the time. So I looked at, so this new truck you want to get, is it like I understand there are pumper trunk.
Can one of you guys come up, or one or all three?
Yeah. I'll take all three of you.
We're gonna bring it, just bring it to council.
Okay, so I understand there are pumper trucks
You can ask.
and tanker trucks, right?
Yes,
Like two kind. And this is like a hybrid of the two trucks?
somewhat, not really. So there's a tender, which is gonna be something that, like our tender holds 3,300 gallons of water.
Okay,
That is only purpose really is to get water to a fire scene that's in a non-hydrogen area. What we're doing with this engine that we're building is we're getting, normally an engine has about 1,000 gallons of water on it. We were able to modify this one to take 1,600 gallons of water and put it on it. That way we have 1,600 gallons of water on an initial fire attack for an area that may or may not have hydrants in the area. That way it lessens the amount of time that we would need somebody else to get a tender out to us.
because then also, then when you get the tender, you can then hook this truck up to that water to pump those
correct.
like 3,300 gallons that you just said, right?
Correct.
Okay, and then,
Can you put your microphone down so?
I can.
Perfect.
All right. And then, so getting this new truck, and someone was really answered my question really well. And our ISO is a 3 if you live near a fire hydrant, but if you don't, it's a 4.
Yep.
With getting this new truck, do you think that would help lower the ISO in the areas that are a 4?
When we do the audit, it may, we're not sure.
Potential.
Potential of lowering it.
Okay, cool. How many calls do you guys get for mutual aid?
From us to go there,
Yes.
or we call mutual aid in?
You get called for mutual aid to go there.
What was the numbers?
Yeah, I don't have the numbers in front of me.
Ish, like
100,
a year,
Per year?
100 a year? Okay, and do you often go to fires, like that call? Like, would you need to take like water, like a pumper or a tanker truck?
it depends on what they call for.
Yeah,
They may call for an engine, which that one might go, or it might be a closer one if it's in Racine County.
uh-huh,
The station 15 would go with their truck.
okay,
If they call for a squad, it's basically for bodies, for
Sure.
members to help out.
yeah,
They'll call for a tank or an
Yeah.
ambulance.
okay.
It's specific normally what they call for. Depends on,
Is it kind of an even mix of it, or would you say there's
depends
more?
on the severity of
Yeah.
the incident.
Okay,
Yeah, it depends what the agreement is. Everybody puts their cards in at the end of the year, and we have a Mavis card that if we need help, they come to us. If they
Yeah.
need help, we go to them.
okay. I just want to look over my notes real quick and make sure I didn't miss a question. You answered my question about maintenance. Well, what would happen to the old truck, the one that you want to replace?
It could be used as multiple things. We have guys and girls that use it for school. We have MPO school, things like that.
Mhm.
If one of our other engines go down, we'll have a backup, which it's a frontline pumper. Everything works on it.
Okay,
Just 30 years.
it's just aging out, yeah. The safety features aren't. Okay,
So your plans are to keep that truck then, not sell
For
it?
now, yes.
For now,
correct.
we'll review it
And
see
if-
where we're at that time.
And if I'm correct, we buy the equipment and we give it to them and it becomes their truck,
Well,
or no?
this would
area?
go into a dissolution agreement, I guess, and we did look that up today. So if for some reason Test Corners stops being our fire department, for a number of reasons, their assets essentially revert back to the city, and there's some scholarship things and there's a lot of things, but essentially all their equipment back in 1998 when we did this agreement, we would pay them the assessed value of all the equipment from 1998 back. Everything since then is ours. So,
But technically, right now, the truck that they're not going to use, they would sell and put back into their general fund.
yes, and actually.
Okay, that's what I just want to make that
The
clear for everybody.
1996 truck that they have, is one of those assets that were listed on that dissolution agreement that Test Corners had, and we'd have to pay the assessed value of it.
And then the new truck, is that, whose name is that titled, in the cities or
I don't know where it's
Test Corners?
I think it's titled in Test Corners for all the liability and insurance, but under the dissolution, it would revert back.
Yeah, but
Okay,
just
during the
without a
dissolution,
dissolution, it becomes
It's
theirs.
your-
Yeah, that's the point I wanted to make, is that the truck is theirs, so we wouldn't expect any, if they sold it, the money to come back into our general fund, it would go into their general fund.
Correct.
Just for everybody's knowledge that's due on here.
And if you would, I mean, you have older pumpers in that 96 that you have as backup, don't you? Or don't you have, or am I mistaken on that?
No, that's.
No.
The 96 is the oldest one? Okay. I thought you had one like in reserve or something. Okay.
And then the next oldest truck you have is a 2002, correct? So then in 2032, is that an idea that you'd want to replace that one if you got this one?
I think that one was refurbished.
The, 60
Yeah.
was refurbished, but had a bad frame, and
Yeah.
we had budgeted for a refurbished, so put air conditioning in it, so that is,
So it would just kind of
More
be
up
like,
to
we'd have to
speed.
see it how,
Yeah, it's more up to speed than the other one was.
then the, okay. I guess
And I think they give us a 3 to 5 year idea, usually at least 3 years. But, if they could do 5, it'd be great. So,
Yeah.
you might say it's a 2032, but then they're going to come back and say, well, we used this many miles and we did this and we did that. And,
Yeah.
and it doesn't have a camera and it doesn't have whatever, all these things on here. So, hopefully 2034 would be a good number, but,
So for context on what we're replacing here, I told this to Chief today. So back in 1985 and Back to the Future, when Marty McFly took his DeLorean from 1985 back to 1955, that's the age difference between now and the truck we're replacing. It's the same time period.
yeah, but that 55 Chevy's worth a lot of money.
Yeah. Any questions from this side?
Yeah, I have a question. I know when we originally talked about this, we talked about getting a second bid and we were told we were going to get another quote. I'm just wondering where that other quote is.
I don't recall getting another quote. I know when he originally gave us, he had pricing after it was approved that was higher, in his process on it, as it says in the memo, was to look at the way the truck was outfitted and negotiated, and they did. They went from $1.4 million down to wherever we're at, 1.147 or whatever.
Yeah.
But since they're buying from a manufacturer, you can't, and you're standardized on Pierce. It's not like you can go and get another quote on a Pierce. You'd have to go to a different truck altogether.
I know, I understand that. I clearly remember the conversation that they prefer using a Pierce because that's what they've been using. But we also had the discussion that a new Pierce 30 years later is going to have instruments and things in different places that they're going to have to learn and have to realize how to use a new truck regardless. So sticking with Pierce is kind of a moot argument to me. And we were told that we were going to get a second quote.
I told you?
You told us at a following meeting after the budget was passed that there was going to be a second quote. And now at this time when this is coming up that you want to pay for it right now and we want all this money right now, I think it's a perfect time to see that other quote or hold off on this and get that other quote.
I apologize if you thought that they were going to get a competitive or another quote on a Pierce. No.
No, I never said Pierce.
Well, okay, and I was referring to what I described as when the chief and I were going back and forth, and the estimates he was getting were much higher than what our budget was, and I told him, you got to get this number down because I can't bring this back to council. And he was working on getting new numbers, but that was going with a Pierce all along. You can talk to them; they're the experts on why they standardize on Pierce and why they want to go with that. That's not my call. I'm going to leave that to their experts, so you can ask them.
Okay, so we're approving the payment on it, and we were told that we were going to get another quote. And I asked specifically that original night we were talking about this, and I know the budget has been approved for you to get a pumper truck, but we were also told we'd pay for that in 2026. It takes a year to build, and now we're getting this full court pressure to get this money now. Everything goes up in price. Roads go up in price. Everything goes up in price as time goes on. And I just feel like this is kind of a red flag in my mind that let's go ahead and take a look at getting another bid on a different truck at this point. I don't see why that's so far out of the realm of possibilities to do.
Maybe you want to address why you want to stick with Pierce versus going to another one. We'll start with that.
I'll let Scott deal with the Pierce.
Pierce is, they're local. They're built up in
Oshkosh.
up in Fox Valley, correct? They have a service center in Slinger. They will come down to us if they need to do any work, warranty work, things like that. Our trucks are standardized, so we can go to a different station. There's a fire call, we can go to that side of the truck, the electric compartment. They're all the same. In the standard of the industry, Pierce is by far, I feel, and I've been doing this for 41 years, that I feel it's the best for the money.
And how many other trucks have you had experience with?
We are almost strictly Pierce.
So you don't have experience with other trucks?
We had Marion's way back when, but that was.
You know, Deb, a few years back, we decided as a council to standardize, as Rick said, on Pierce. That doesn't mean we have to do it. So you're kind of right, and you're right. But we did make the decision based on easeability for a volunteer fire department, that because you got people coming and going and they don't, everything's in the same spots.
But they're not going to be on the same spot on a new truck. Trucks change. Even if I get a Camry this year and then get one in a few years, things are going to be in a different spot on the vehicle.
But the point is that there's different volunteers that are showing up for fires and quickness and safety and stuff. So we did that. It did not, and again, like I said, he's right by saying we standardize on it, but you're right by saying we could have a different quote. It doesn't mean we have to go with it, but just to.
Well, it's
and during the budget meeting, I kind of pointed that out. I brought that up because you guys came out here and approached us and said, hey, I want $1 million, and I'm like, okay, great, why? And you said, well, here's my quote, and I say, okay, where's the other quotes? I mean, that's a lot of money to ask for. It's only right to ask for another quote. Doesn't mean we have to go with it, but just for fact that when you go to a car dealer and you look at one car and then, okay, here's my price. Do you go to another car dealer, or did you research online to make sure that price is in line? So you just want to double check things. That's basically what it is, doing a secondary quote. But, I did bring that up, and I think somewhere along the line, things weren't communicated 100%. That why I appreciate this all coming out now rather than being buried in the vouchers, because I was actually looking at the vouchers and had some questions about this being pushed through. I mean, and I think at the time that we did this, I kind of did the same thing. I think we had a vote where some of us didn't want to push the budget dollars through, and some of us did, and it went through. I mean, it's a lot of money. I mean, but it's a public safety issue too. So I think that at one point, Rick, you did kind of allude to the point that because I brought the issue up about a second quote, that they were looking into a possible another quote, and you would let us know. And I think I'm going to paraphrase it, but that's pretty darn close. And if that's what I understood, evidently that's what she understood. I don't know what anybody else understood, and a couple new people wouldn't have been here. But just for the sake of transparency for the dollars, I'd like to have seen another quote. And the other question I have on this is that this is all fine and dandy, but we did when I questioned the quoting system when you came in and presented this to us, you said it's $950,000, and we okayed that. So I thought at that point, we're spending $950,000. Now it's 6-7 months later, and you're telling me it's 1.4 million. I'm paraphrasing again. 6 months time, and something should have happened immediately for that $950,000 in my mind. I don't know. Am I thinking wrong that it wasn't quoted? And because I asked him, here's our quote for $950,000. So I think that would have been the quote, right? So now the new quote is 1.4. I don't know how we got there. So that's my confusion, and that's why I would have pulled it out of the voucher process to, and now you put this together was kind of getting us all in the same direction. So that's where I'm at. I'm not questioning not doing this, But I think discussion is very important on this, and I know Denny had his hand up for an hour. I might have skipped him.
All right, I will get to Alderman in a second. I just want to address it. First of all, the 950, that's the number they gave us. That's what we're at. That's where we are now as far as the expenditure.
Right.
So the final number, even with the prepay, is like 975. They're going to cover the $25,000 difference. I apologize to all of you if you thought my thing was they were going to get a separate quote. Chief and I were going back and forth, and he can vouch to this. We were talking about getting the quote where they had from Pierce down towards our budget because it was so far off. And that's what I was referring to, and I apologize if the communication was different.
Part of the problem is you call other vendors, they know you're a Pierce, your department's always been with the Pierce. They don't really want to deal with you because they know whatever they give you, you're not.
And hopefully you're a good customer, so Pierce takes care of you. I mean, it's like, again, you go to a car dealer over and over, you see the same guy, you kind of become part of the family, and hopefully they don't take advantage of you. So, I mean, there's goods and bads, but I think the dilemma I have is that when I questioned why we didn't have other quotes during the budget process, you came up with one $950,000 quote, and all of a sudden now it's 1.4. I don't know what happened in that period of time, why it went up when we approved it, and we even knew at that time that we prepay on these to save the money. And so did we delay ordering it and get stuck or what? I mean, I just want transparency so we all know where we're at.
It's a combination of once they sat down with the vendor and you start putting together, just like you do with a house, you start, well, I want this, I want that.
Well, I understand, but I thought you already had a quote. See, that's my point. You said 950,000, I have a quote for 950,000.
That's what they gave us kind of in that ballpark, but then when.
Okay, it wasn't a formal quote then.
When we need that.
Okay,
then all of a sudden it starts
and you went to
escalating.
1,600 gallons versus, I understand all that. So it wasn't a formal quote. That was just an estimated price for us.
It's probably similar to like we do with the road program or everything else where we get a really rough estimate from a vendor. You're in business and going through an actual quote is a whole lot different than, I look at a job and I'm like, yeah, that's roughly $10 a square foot. And then all of a sudden they start talking about the intricacies and you give them the formal quote and, well, yeah, it might go up or down from there,
Sure.
so.
Sure. I'm done question. We got to get Denny in
Alderman
there.
Decker.
Yeah, I was going to say that had been my understanding as well, that there was going to be a second quote. But I do have a question. To remain within budget, the Test Corners Volunteer Fire Department will contribute $25,376 to ensure the city share does not exceed $950,000. Where is that $25,000 coming from?
We've had people that have donated different things to us, different amounts of money, and it'll be used from that. It's not going to come from the city or anything that we've raised from the city.
They do fundraisers throughout the year also. And
you guys, are you profitable as making calls and everything? I mean, you have a fund, escrow or whatever it goes into. I mean, is there profit coming in? I mean, I know you're nonprofit, but is there still profit coming in?
Rescue and fire are separate.
Okay.
On a fire call, you don't charge anyhow, so.
Okay.
From an operating standpoint, I'm not going to put exact words into Dave's mouth, but they have been operating at a deficit for the last few years. They've been drawing down fund balance to supplement what we don't give them in our contracts.
What would be the time frame for this $25,000?
For us to pay for it?
Yeah.
At the time, we'll pay for it at the same time.
So this week, if this is approved. Okay. Any other? Alderman Schrader.
I seem to recall that there was something else that the fire department was asking for, that they almost wanted to change getting this pumper after we had approved it, that there was some other big ticket item that you guys were wanting. Do you have a recollection of that?
It's probably from our board. It wasn't from us.
Okay. Because the reason I'm asking is, we were told that we were going to order this and not pay for it for a year from now. And I mean, everything goes up in price from year to year. Is no pun intended, is there a 911 emergency that we have to do this right now?
Yeah,
That's
so
good.
Because you aren't going to get it for a year anyway, so.
if we do not prepay for it, then there's a price increase. So we're subject to whatever price increases between now and when we take delivery of that. So,
Because-
for example, May 1st, there's a 1%, so that's $10,000. If we're not paid by this Friday, it's $10,000. Now, if anything increases from there, we are subject to that. We'll sign the dotted line, but any increase on that RID will get tapped on when it comes time for us to pay for it. Prepaying locks in the price, and then it does not, there's no price increase.
And then,
Well, I'm sorry, but I can see paying like 10% down or something, but prepaying the whole price ahead of time. I mean, what if this company goes out of business? What if something happens? I mean, this to me is a huge red flag to have to prepay $1 million in advance for something that you're not going to get for a year. I mean, think about the interest on that $1 million too, that we are potentially, I mean, this is to me just a little bit,
So I did ask them before, like, what the expectancy on getting the new truck, like, once it's ordered and paid for, and they said it's 3 to 4 years. And I have actually personally been to the Pierce plant up in Oshkosh and taken a tour, and they do trucks for like all over the United States. Like
what does New Berlin use? What does some of the neighboring communities use? Because again, we don't even know where our fire department's going to be a few years from now with what's going to be happening. So this is a big expense to be.
Yeah, and I agree, it's a huge expense, but I don't think Pierce will go out of business.
Well, I agree. I'm just saying, to pay this all in advance.
One at a time.
To pay this all in advance to me is very concerned. I feel like, why are they giving us this? If we're a good customer, we've been using them all the time. Why would they be doing this? Unless there's some red flag with that business that they need the money now. That to me is very, it's not good business.
Yeah.
Not good business.
It's standard. We've done it before, but your point on the interest is a very good point. If we take that money and stick it in an interest-bearing account, it's probably about a wash of what we're getting for a discount on this. But what the main concern on this is the clause that this and every manufacturer out there has for large equipment like that is their price is not locked in until they get payment. So that price they're quoting at 1.147. If we pay that price versus the $975 at delivery, that price can keep moving up until delivery. And as materials go up, and they have it detailed in their purchase agreement, that cost of steel goes up or down, or any of their supply stuff, it can.
So it could go down.
No, it only says it can go up. Quite honestly, that's just the way it's a standard agreement that's out there. And what paying this in advance does is it locks the price, and that's the biggest advantage. I agree with you on we could take that money and invest it and probably be about the same. But it's the locking in the price that is the key part.
We could literally say that with everything that the city buys. And roads and anything, you lock in the price this year and it goes up.
You don't have a build time like that. You don't have a build time on like that. And we do have that problem with our trucks. The big plow trucks, when we purchase those, that can take 1 to 2 years getting those. The price can change from what they quote us. They will not lock in a price until delivery unless you pay it up front. And we've had that happen the last few years where.
Well, since COVID.
Yeah, right.
Deliveries have been way out.
It's how the world is.
Like I said, I just don't see what harm there is in getting another quote from another company. Again, I don't even think we know 100% where we're going to be with the fire department in 2, 3, 4 years from now. By the time we get this pump or truck. I mean, okay.
No, not to be rude. It's a fire engine. It's not a specialized
Well,
piece.
hang on a second. People can't hear you. Can you step up to the microphone? Thank you. Thank you.
It's not a specialized piece of equipment. It's a lot of areas around us have gone to a larger engine with a bigger tank for the reason of tackling non-hydrogen areas. So whatever happens for the future, we've built this rig knowing that it can be a multifaceted, whether it's test corners using it or whatever the future would bring. So whatever would happen, it's still going to be a useful piece of equipment for that.
And is the one that we still have still usable?
Yes, it's in service.
It's still working just fine?
Correct.
And the reason we're ordering a new one is because?
It's 30 years old and it doesn't have a lot of the safety features that are standard on equipment nowadays. There are a number of reasons. And it does, as it's described, its capabilities increase our firefighting capabilities for the community. And this was bought in 1996 when we had a population of roughly 17,000 people. We're at almost 26,000 now. So our firefighting capabilities have to grow with that.
And how many fires a year do we have?
Working fires or alarms or what?
Yeah,
A regular call?
Yeah, how many fires a year?
300.
And then how many would require a vehicle like that?
Hopefully none.
How many?
Every single one. That is our toolbox.
Okay.
You can't pull up with
I
a
mean,
pickup truck. You need
Construction
that.
fire, 5.
again, I'm all about safety, but like I said, I really feel like when I'm spending other people's money, I would like to get other bids. I really feel very passionate about that, and I hope you understand where I'm coming from.
Alderman Decker.
Yeah, I'd like a little bit of clarification, Chief, if I may, about the nature of this fire engine industry. I mean, how many dominant players are there? I mean, are there like 3 big players and then there's a bunch of others? Or what is the industry like?
Probably 3 or 4 big players and then smaller ones. Area communities do purchase some from other, and they've found out that, they've come back to Pierce. There's one community nearby that purchased a vehicle 2 years ago, and it sat in their station for 1.5 years, unable to use. Well, they waited for their maintenance to come fix it.
Milwaukee has all Pierce.
Yeah.
My brother is a firefighter down in Norman, Oklahoma. Sure. And I talked to him a lot about this because I don't know a lot about firefighting because I'm not one. And all of like Oklahoma City, Norman, Yukon, all of them order Pierce. And just for comparison notes, Muskego is 36 square miles. Norman, Oklahoma is 189.5 square miles. So.
I think
it sounds like in this business, it's like, it's not really competitive. I mean, it sounds like it's almost meaningless to go to another one of these big players because they wouldn't take you seriously because they think you're a Pierce house.
Yes.
That's actually that's true. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
a lot of industries.
Alderman Wolf, did you from the LCU?
I said that happens in a lot of industries. I mean, I sell equipment to keep the power on to utilities, and people standardize in their equipment, and it's real hard to break through unless you have something that they don't have or something that's uniquely better. Will they start entertaining you? And I have the same dilemma that when I sell something, then I'm pretty much locked in there with it.
Alderman Hamel.
At one time, we had a mix of equipment, correct? After the merger between Muskego and Test Corners, if I remember right?
You had the KME, the rescue, whatever thing. Yeah.
We still have a KME, that's what our rescue truck is yet.
What was the make?
KME.
Okay.
But otherwise, no, and there was a Marion in there too. But that was before 96, it was late 80s, early 90s.
And then you got rid of those, the Marion, you have the KME still, I believe you said, right?
Correct.
Okay. So, maybe so everybody knows, what are the pros and cons between the two different makes? I know you're comparing today to one 30 years ago. And what was the?
Try to use the microphone, guys, when you're
Okay,
talking.
The other brand that we have is actually a completely different vehicle. It's a squad, more of
It's like a mobile command unit.
Okay.
It's a command unit. It's a people hauler. You know, if they need certain things at a fire scene, like a RIT team, that team's usually on that vehicle. They have all the equipment that they need. Dive teams on there. It's a completely different vehicle. It's not carrying water. Doesn't carry hoses or anything.
Did we at one time have a different make that did that? Because I thought Muskego had one brand and then Test Corners had another one. Or am I mistaken?
Yeah, I thought we replaced, one of the last replacements we did was a different brand and we moved to Pierce.
Yeah.
And that would be, I think we probably have had 2 in the last 10 years that we bought Pierce on that I can remember. And I think it was about 10 years ago when she was mayor that we standardized on, on Pierce because of the preference of how they're set up and easeability and public safety. And, you know, the dilemma is we're in a catch-22 that, you know, this is an old fire engine. And I believe we knew we were going to need something in the future. I don't know when you guys told us, right? I for some reason, I was thinking it was a ladder coming up next for some reason, but now we have a pumper in here. But whatever, that's, you know, when you have something budgeted, if you decide, I mean, we've done that with police cars and dump trucks and so on. It's like, okay, you know, we need this dump truck. Oh, by the way, we're going to get this front end loader instead and back up the, you know, so maybe you move the ladder aside and what with this, I mean, I don't have a problem with that. The whole dilemma here is your lead time, and I think right now, like I said, we're in a catch-22 that we approved the budget for this at 950. We're staying at 950. It would have been nice to see other numbers just for sake of seeing them, but we're past that, and unfortunately, you know, we have to look at public safety, and if it's $1 million to make public safety happen, we have to stay with that. I mean, we stay with the police department the same way. We invest the money in there to make the community safe. And yeah, do I want to spend $1 million? No, you know, I mean, who does?
Alderman Schrader.
When were we aware that we needed to pay this in a week? When did this become an issue?
Well, the way you worded that, I guess it would be a week, but when did, like, yeah, it was right after the last meeting that was presented to us.
Is the contract included in our information?
I don't know if it's in there or not. The purchase agreement you're referring to?
Yeah, I'm just,
Might not be.
again, like I said, to me, I just feel very rushed on this, and I know what Rob's saying, but I also just do not feel comfortable without reaching out to maybe another company. I just Googled it while I'm sitting here. There's like 10 big manufacturers of equipment. I mean, what's to say we can't look at something else at this point when you're getting strong-armed by this company?
I don't know if they're getting strong-armed. I mean, they're selling.
Well, I mean, paying 100% in full in a week is kind of being strong-armed, in my opinion.
They've always given, every time we've bought in a truck, they've given that as an option of saving money. My understanding is.
Well, this is the first time we're hearing of it.
Well, it's the first time I've been here since we bought a truck too, but I mean, it doesn't mean we haven't bought trucks for the last 30 years.
Shouldn't we have had that discussion when we were talking about the budget then and approving this?
We did approve the budget. We have the money for it. Money is put aside. You know, it's all.
And we also knew that it was going to take at least a year to
Yeah, it was going to be a year we were going to pay for it.
We at least knew that.
A year away.
Well, not necessarily. We knew that the delivery was a year, if I remember correctly.
Right. I mean, either way, we were using 2025 funds.
Like I said, we're in a catch-22.
So, any other new questions or comments?
I just got one. It's going to be about the voucher process when we have a big thing like this. You know, it really should be on. And
I agree. And that's why I pulled it out.
And I agree. I for some reason, I don't know if this falls in it, but the $50,000 expenditure and higher.
It does not, because it's a contract. We have a contract with Test Corners, and Our contract states anything over $500,000 has to go to capital budget, and if approved there, it's approved.
Okay,
And-
just
and
so
our-
then,
and our
just so we pull it
purchasing-
off separate then,
Yeah,
so.
and our purchasing agreement says any contracts, this does not take effect for any contracts that we have.
Okay, I just wanted to see if that fell into that $50,000 thing, because I was gonna question that when I saw the budget in here, because, again, and not to beat you guys up, or it was never disrespectful when I first brought it up during the budget time, but when you say 950, and then I asked for other quotes, and we were all in circles from there. And you know, and I was part of that standardization conversation, which did make sense at the time to standardize on Pearson. You know, I mean, you guys do a great job, and we want to make sure you have the fine equipment to go with it. So, you know, I can't say anything else other than that, you know.
One thing I think I can speak for everyone up here is we do thank you for your service. You guys are truly volunteers. You're all residents here. You care about this community. You're the ones end up burning buildings while the rest of us are running out. I do appreciate that. Please don't take any of the conversations up here personally. Everyone's just trying to do their job and look out for the best of the taxpayers up here. So, understand. Any more from finance? All right. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes.
And I'm glad this went through finance, because if not, we'd be going to common council, and we'd be having this conversation next. So it's over now, so.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, guys.
But we still
We still have to vote on it on the council, just so you know.
License approval. Recommend approval for an outside dance permit for Addis Management LLC, DBA Danny Haskell's Pub and Grill, located at West 171 South 7260 Lannon Drive, for the following events: May 25th, 2025 from 1 p.m. till 5 p.m. for live music, June 7th, 2025 from 4 p.m. till 10 p.m. for live music, and June 21st, 2025 from 4 p.m. till 9 p.m. for live music.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
I have a question.
Yes.
What time, because on June 7th it goes to 10 PM, what time is the noise ordinance for the city done?
11, I think it's 11, but I might be wrong. It's either
I
10
think
or
it's
11.
11 also, but
11.
this supersedes
I
that.
also,
So,
And we never really go past that when we put these, because I've questioned them in the past, and some of them wanted to go to midnight, and we brought them back.
yeah, I also thought it was 11, but I just wanted to make sure.
I mean, it's good for the businesses. We want to support the
I
business.
just don't want the neighbors to call on
no,
them,
it's a good question.
Because I like that place.
But even if it were shorter, by us approving this, kind of overrides the ordinance.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Recommend approval of an outside dance permit to Two Stooges LLC, DBA The Tipsy Turtle Patio and Grill, located at South 90 West 13970 Boxhorn Drive, for the following events: Sunday, May 25th, Sundays, May 25th through June 29th, 2025, from 2 p.m. until 6 p.m. for live music, and Saturdays, May 31st through June 28th, 2025, from 2 p.m. till 6 p.m. for live music.
Motion approved.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? That passes. Voucher approval.
Recommend approval of utility vouchers in the amount of $64,445.90.
Second.
Discussion? Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes.
Recommend approval of general fund vouchers in the amount of $1,979,952.22.
Question?
Got a question?
Second.
Second, and then you do the question? Is that how it works?
Yeah.
Okay, second.
I think that includes the pumper truck, which I think should be pulled out.
This is just finance. You guys you can do that on council.
So I just want to point something out. The dredging for Boxhorn is in there. I just want to let people know, because that is
Oh, is that
over
what the 80,000?
50,000. Yeah.
80,000 is? Is that, I was wondering what 80,000 is.
I think
is?
that came
Okay.
in a little under
Slightly.
budget as well.
Yeah. I don't know how much, but
Yeah, it wasn't much. It was a
Is that
little.
the IML or whatever? it is?
ILM, yeah,
It was under.
I believe so, yeah.
Oh, so that's the dredging. Okay, I was wondering, what are we spending money at Boxhorn for? Okay.
That's for the dredging, for the boat launch.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes.
Recommend approval of wire transfers for payroll invoice transmittals in the amount of $430,765.24.
Discussion. Oh, sorry. Second, okay, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. There is no finance director's report. Communications and miscellaneous business as authorized by law. Motion to adjourn would be in order.
I'll motion that.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned at 6:40.